I hate Marvel. I hate what they've been doing with many of the recent comics. I hate what they've been doing with the MCU for, honestly, even longer than Phase 3. I even hate the quality of the toys that have clearly gone down since I was action figure collecting as a kid, and now I look at these new ones and think, I don't want to own or display this. But more than anything, I hate what they've done to Spider-Man. My favorite superhero of all time, bar none. Whether it be his complete and utter change in the comics, whether it be the fact that he is being cucked by Mary Jane, whether it be the fact that he is his story and the overall writing has taken massive downturns. I cannot stand what they've done to him in the MCU, making Peter Parker effectively Iron Man Jr. instead of actually being Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And let's not even get started on Insomniac Spider-Man 2. I hate him in the games because he's got to play second fiddle to all these other characters when we want Spider-Man. And it seems like it is only getting worse. So welcome back to Words Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol, and yeah. Amazing Spider-Man retcons Peter Parker's childhood. Reveals Bookworm was actually a beer-stealing troublemaker. Just so y'all know that I'm not a grifter or anything like that. Just right off camera, right off camera, I can reach and, let's see. Off the dome. Carnage comic, my favorite villain. Web of Spider-Man number 100. Spectacular Spider-Man number 201. All is within reach. That easy. Big fan. And those are older books. I've got recent ones as well. In fact, I've actually been enjoying the Ultimate run. I'm not caught up on it, but I've been enjoying the recent Ultimate run of Spider-Man. You know, where he's married to Mary Jane. He's old and has kids and whatnot. So needless to say, it's not all bad, but it's 99% bad. And when I read this article, when I heard this is happening, like, this is the reason I stopped buying Marvel comics, specifically Spider-Man, which are the ones I held out on the longest, but stop buying Marvel in general. So we're going to go through this article. Before we do, hit the subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news nearly every day, and yeah, let's take a look at what this has to say. Now, I will warn you, my boy Spencer, he's a great writer. There's a lot of setup to this article, because much like me, Spencer is a massive Spider-Man fan, and he really takes his time to paint a picture for us as to why this is such an egregious thing for Marvel to have done. Ask practically anyone what they know about the character of Spider-Man, and after various notes about his powers, maybe a couple mentions of him, his and MJ's live-action Upside Down to the Rain kiss, nice. Given respondee is likely to mention something about how, before getting his powers, Peter Parker was a bookish and angry young man who often found himself the target of his classmates' constant bullying. And that, of course, is going to be something that would come up nearly instantly for any real Spider-Man fan. You want to know why? Because that's one of the things that made the character so identifiable. That he was that relatable kid to, frankly, the general demographic that would buy comic books, like your boy here. I grew up without a lot of friends. I grew up being constantly bullied. I grew up just, basically in the exact same vein as Peter Parker. Used humor as a coping mechanism. He's raised by his aunt and uncle. I was more or less raised by my grandparents. It's literally shot for shot the character that I identified with more than any other. And it has carried me to a large, portion of where I am in life. So needless to say, that massive part of his character being retconned is infuriating. The testament to reach pop culture, they would be absolutely right to the recollection. That is, unless you were to ask them this question in post Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2 world. And I'm gonna be real, the art here, it's pretty good. I mean, I like this art. Yes, it's Garcia, Gracia. No, I think that's the writer. Either way, I like the cover art. This is great. Too bad the quality of the storytelling is not. Spin the wheel on a Spider-Man story from any medium, and odds are good that at some point it will make mention of the hero's less than fun childhood. In his first ever appearance in Amazing Fantasy Volume 15, the second word bubble of the issue sees Flash Thompson replying to the proposal that he and his friends invite Peter to an upcoming dance, and with a dismissive declaration, "Are you kidding? That bookworm wouldn't know a cha-cha from a waltz," all of which is followed by a brief montage revealing just how little his Midtown High peers really think of him. Likewise, despite being slightly older in Spider-Man the Animated Series, by the way, the best of the animated Spider-Man series. There's been a lot of them. This is the GOAT. The show's second episode sees Peter Parker facing the abuse of Flash Thompson, who during a charity ball for the Hardy Foundation dons a Spider-Man costume and attempts to fall back on old habits and physically intimidate his former classmate into turning down the attentions of his date, Felicia Hardy. Yeah, remember this episode very well. Same thing in the first issue of the original Ultimate Spider-Man run. Yes, this run that I believe started in like 2003, 2006. I believe Ultimate Spider-Man started in 2003, and you got Peter's introduction, basically being pelted with french fries, and then him being all sad and whatnot over it, even Mary Jane giving him a look, and he just sort of accepts his fate, his lot in life. He's depressed, he's alone. And then you got the Sam Raimi films. You love the Sam Raimi films. The Sam Raimi films go out of their way to show this 30-year-old high schooler is constantly getting abused. What about it? Even in the game I was just bitching about, Spider-Man 2, where he takes second fiddle to motherfuckers like Mary Jane and Miles Morales, even the game goes out of its way to talk about how bad Peter's childhood was. Questions Harry Osborn, why'd you bring us here? We both hated high school. To which his friend replies, remember that time Flash and his buddies cornered me and broke my laptop? Even in the game that I was bitching about, they at least get that aspect of the character correct, when even the comics, the original medium, is now retconning this. The various mentions of Peter's childhood isolation can make up an entire Wikipedia entry on their own, but suffice to say, this aspect of his younger years has been almost as definitive aspect of the character as Uncle Ben's iconic proverb. As much, readers who picked up the most recent issue of Amazing Spider-Man would be forgiven for being taken aback by the reveal that, far from a bookish nerd with self-esteem issues, the eventual wall-crawler was actually a bona fide troublemaker. Peter Parker, in the canon now, is a juvenile delinquent. He was a bad kid. It's kind of insane. Now, there is a potential caveat to this, and in the effort of honest, integrity in my reporting, and frankly, to honor Spence's great journalism, we, of course, will cover the caveat, because this could end up being something that I rescind and be like, never mind, we were wrong, jumped the gun, overreacted. That being said, I don't think that's going to be the case. Last issue, writer Joe Kelly, artist Peter Larraz. Okay, so the colorist was Gracia, and the artist was Larraz. Okay, gotcha. Introduced the new character, Brian Nerid, one of Peter's rare childhood friends who ends up connecting with him at his latest job at Rand Enterprises. That's already kind of an issue. Like, we know that Peter didn't have friends in his childhood with the exception of, Harry Osborn, but okay, whatever. You add a new friend, and maybe you don't have to change that much. It's just you gotta keep doing things to keep the story going. Alright, we'll see. So he gets a job working effectively at Iron Fist's company. Though Nerid is only given a very brief amount of page time before a rampaging rhino steals Peter's attention away, the time they do spend together is littered with references to the two having a history of troublemaking, including mentions of a massive stink bomb prank and a flashback to a young Peter smiling after getting into a physical fight. Now look at this. Look at this Peter smiling after getting into a fight. Is that the Peter Parker we know? Like, the sting bomb thing, alright, whatever, that's dumb as it is. Peter Parker would never do that. But we're talking about Peter fucking Parker as a youth. He is a child. He is scrawny. He is shrimpy. He is picked on by the girls of the school, let alone the guys of the school. I mean, the dude is the epitome of the quote-unquote beta male. That sort of archetype. That's what makes Spider-Man so freeing for him when he finally gets these powers, is that he can now be the total opposite of Peter Parker. He is his own yin and yang, Peter and Spider-Man. Like, it's now we're retconned where Peter relished in getting into physical fights as a kid. Their shared penchant for delinquency would eventually be outright confirmed with this week's issue, wherein Peter's mind is shown drifting back to memories of him and Brian sneaking away to peek at a nudie mag. That's right. So now we got a young Peter here just doing more delinquency things. He's like, oh yeah, let's go look at some naked women. That's so out of character. Like, Peter would rather be going to the library to study than looking at pictures of titties. It's insane, the complete and utter destruction of this character that we have grown to know and love, and has had a consistent, if nothing about Spider-Man has been consistent for the last 70-ish years, at least the fact that he had a fucked up childhood was. What are they doing now? Here's the caveat. We got this first. Running from the cops after being caught stealing beer and snacks from the local bodega. So now we got a young Parker literally fleeing from the law. Like, he's a kid in New York. But also, these books originated in the 60s, 63 if I recall, was the first appearance of Spider-Man. This was not the sort of thing that a 1960s Peter Parker would be doing. I get it, the timeline works a little different, the way Marvel works in terms of the flow of time. The point is, this is ridiculous. After being arrested for said shoplifting incident, telling off Uncle Ben and Aunt May when they come to pick him up, and fleeing to raise more hell with Brian, another as-of-yet identified member of the Freaktastic Four friend group. So he gets arrested. Aunt May and Uncle Ben come to pick him up. While they're scolding him, he lashes out at them. Then he runs away to commit more crimes. This isn't Peter Parker. What are they doing over at Marvel? By the way, what are they doing over at Marvel when Spider-Man is the only book they have that is consistently in the top 10 selling comics of the month? Other than that, it's all Batman, and then like you might get a Todd McFarlane comic now and again. The only Marvel book that's in the top 10 sales-wise usually are Spider-Man books. Bro, you can't be sitting here and destroying your iconic character like that if you want to remain in the top 10 sales-wise. Fans are gonna notice this. Wanna know why? Because we grew up with Peter. Many of us feel like Peter, or felt like Peter. Now, in the interest of intellectual honesty, it should be noted that during both issues, Spider-Man is confirmed to be experiencing extremely intense hallucinations as caused by a cocktail of toxins administered to him by Hobgoblin and his Deadpool hybrid clone, Itsy Bitsy. Check out Spider-Man Deadpool Volume 1 for her whole deal. And intended to make him question his sanity. And while some may speculate that his memories of Brian are part of these hallucinations, this notion is countered, and again, there's the caveat. None of this could be real. This Brian character can be made up in Peter's psyche. Maybe this is the character that Peter as a kid wanted to be, but he was too scared to be, so he was the bookish nerd worm. The book nerd worm. Point is, I'm going through one tonight. Point is, yes, there could actually be a logical reason for this destruction of Peter's character that turns out to nothing burger. However, as Spencer's about to accurately lay out, there'd be an inconsistency in the story. If even that were the case, this is countered by the simple fact that not only does the entirety of Peter's initial reunion with his childhood friend, including his fight flashback, happen before Itsy Bitsy is confirmed to have delivered the toxins herself, but Aunt May is shown just pages before their meeting having an explicitly cold reaction to the very mention of his name, thus establishing that her nephew's troubled history did in fact happen. Remember Brian Herring from middle school, or Naring, whatever. Look at this pissed off and admittedly fucking ugly Aunt May. Like, oh shit, this is some bad art right here. And she says, yes, I do. And Aunt May is pissed. So, this is before the cocktail of drugs is in Peter's system. So at least some of this shit is real. The extent of it, who knows? But, yeah, so the destruction of Peter's character is at this point canon, regardless of how they flip it. Further, as in comic books in particular, there does exist the good possibility that Kelly has a genuine narrative reveal, no matter how good or bad, regarding Peter's new history, and should that happen, we'll do our best to update this article with that information. I will also, of course, do any sort of updates I need to in my video. However, at the current, it appears that despite the widespread hopes that the previous writer Zeb Wells, Brian Michael Bendis, doesn't matter, they're all fucking terrible. Spider-Man has not had a good writer in 10 good goddamn years. Exit from the book would herald a better era of storytelling for the web crawler. Marvel Comics is instead sticking to their guns and doing all they can to run roughshod all over Spider-Man's character in service of cheap drama. This is truly disgusting. Like, I'm genuinely appalled and a bit upsetty spaghetti because Spider-Man is that guy. He is that guy that no matter what, no matter how bad his life is, how bad his luck is, he is always at least trying to do the right thing. And in those moments where he does falter and when he fails or when you think he's going to fail, when you've got those intense moments of a decision needing to be made, there's the drama. That's what happens. Is this the time Spider-Man snaps and he dons the black suit and he kills the Kingpin? Is this the time Spider-Man says, responsibility be damned, I want revenge? Is this the time that Mary Jane is going to divorce Peter because he was late to their fucking wedding anniversary and she just can't do it anymore? All the drama stems from the established character that is Peter Parker. So when you take a character that's 70-ish years old, I think he's 70 this year, actually, right? He came out in 63, if I recall, or no, 72, because we're in 2025. So I believe Spider-Man's 72 years old, if I'm doing my math off the top of my dome real quick, right? You take a character that's 72 years old, that has had a consistent backstory, that even in the shitty adaptations have at least gotten that part right. And for faux drama, you change and alter his complete backstory to make him a completely different person and character. That is not just a fuck you to the character. That is a fuck you to generations of fans that were inspired by and grew up loving this character. I mean, great power, with great power comes great responsibility, is truly a good motto to live by. It doesn't matter if you're a child, it doesn't matter if you're an adult. Spider-Man is just, again, he is that guy. And you pissed all that away for what? Because you don't like the Spider-Man fans for the last 10 years have been upset about the direction of the books and you're trying to just stick it to them even further? Or is it just because you're a bad writer that doesn't respect the history of the character? At the end of the day, I don't know, nor do I care, because this is a shining example of why I fucking quit Marvel, why I quit buying their books, why I've quit going to see their movies, why I don't hate watch their shows on Netflix or Disney Plus or whatever the hell it is, because Marvel is dead to me, because they do not respect me, they do not respect you, they do not respect these larger-than-life characters that were so lovingly crafted by the giants whose shoulders they stand on. Those are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at Bolt the Word, and please just subscribe by my nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news nearly every day, not only about comic books, but anime, video games, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check me out on Instagram at wordsparadise_Leon, and become a member for $4.99 a month. You can join the Discord, choose the articles I go over on a day-to-day basis, choose the videos I react to on my Friday night live streams, and of course, get involved with over 180 other vital idols. We are a bright, beautiful, glowing, vibrant community that I cannot wait to grow even further, because we do care about diversity, but only one kind of diversity of thought. That's interesting to you. Join the Discord, hit subscribe, and until next time, it is all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.